Next year, I plan to pull 505 kilos in a head-to-head face-off with Thor. We will, of course, include everyone who could potentially break the deadlift world record and turn this into something special. Now, the dates and location, that's still being finalized. I will tell you guys as soon as we know. But I'm going to give you the blueprint on how I plan to deadlift 505, my approach, and how that might be different from some of the guys who have tried to do it in the past. Now, it starts now with my off season. This is the time to build the foundation for what I'm going to exploit later. And this is just the basics of periodization. Now, if you struggle with programming your own exercise, check out the link in the description for my programs, including the deadlift program I use to pull 475 kilos, which is my current personal best. Now, in the off season, it's going to be a lot of volume and bodybuilding to grow some muscle mass in two particular areas for me. One is going to be my legs, and two is going to be my spinal erectors. My legs, because that's going to give a great pop off of the ground. I believe this is one of the major keys as to how I can deadlift really well at the moment. Number two is going to be strengthening spinal erectors, doing things like back extensions and glute ham raises to be able to build up that area. The way that I simplify the deadlift is that off of the ground, it's a lot of leg strength, and from the knee up, it's a lot of back strength, and in between, just below the knee, is the transition point where a lot of people get caught. Now, the most inappropriate way to try to address that transition point is to start doing rack pulls. If you start doing rack pulls, you adopt a different position. It is not going to be the same as the position that you're going to be in when you're deadlifting. So if I get those two areas strong, muscular, robust, that's going to give a phenomenal foundation into the deadlift. Now, when I start to deadlift, there are three primary cues that I'm going to be playing with. One is long arms and contracting my triceps, reaching myself down to the bar. The more I can reach down to the bar, the taller my torso is going to be pulling off of the ground. Number two is core bracing. I've done a full video on this, but the better your core bracing can be, the better you're going to be able to translate power from your lower body to your upper body. Of course, with squats, with deadlifts, with any sort of triple extension overhead, you're going to need to translate power from your legs into your upper body because the bar exists either on or through your upper body. Number three is focusing on the pressure in my foot during the lifts. You should put more pressure in your toes on the deadlift off of the ground. This is going to biomechanically favor your quads to pop the bar off of the ground. Now, once it gets close to your knee, you have to shift that weight back to your heels because then you're going to be able to lock out easier. If you make the mistake of putting weight through your heels off the ground, that's going to make a very, very slow pull and a very difficult pull off the ground. If you don't shift the weight from your toes to your heels, you're going to end up with the bar hung out in front of you. It's going to be next to impossible to work that bar back into you when at maximal loads. Now, that's my off season. Those are my cues. Here is what I would plan to do for peaking. Of course, my coach, Lauren Chalet, has ultimate control over this, but this is what I would do if it was left to my own devices. I would have a 12-week peak into this lift, and it would start with 5 sets of 1 at 380 kilos in my suits. This is going to be followed up with back-offs of snatch grip deadlifts and pause deadlifts, and accessories will be back extensions, hamstring curls, and glute bridges, focusing heavily on that posterior chain. The next week, we're going heavier, 4 sets of 1 at 400 kilos. We're leaving the back offs and we're going to keep in the back extensions, hamstring curls, and glute bridges. In week number 3, we back off of the load and include some volume. This is one important thing that I believe a lot of people miss. If you don't have some sort of deadlift volume, you're going to be fatigued by the time you get up to 1 rep max, even a little bit. And that's something that you can't have. So I would follow up in week 3 by doing 3 sets of 5 at 320 kilos. I would add back in the snatch grip deadlift and pause deadlift back offs, and I would continue to do back extensions, hamstring curls, and glute bridges. Those 3 are going to be a staple throughout this program. In week 4, increasing the weight from week 2, which was 4x1 for 400 kilos, and I would do 3x1 at 420 kilos. No back offs, and accessories would be just back extensions and hamstring curls. You'll notice as time goes on and as weight increases, you have to find ways to be able to give your body the rest that it requires. And I'm doing that through eliminating back offs on heavy week and reducing the number of accessories on heavy weeks. After that, week 4 at 420 kilos, going back down again to a 3x5 at 320 kilos, followed up by snatch grips deadlift, pause deadlift, back extension, hamstring curls, and glute bridges. Now, in terms of progressive overload, I think people often misinterpret this. In week 3, I do 3x5 at 320 kilos, and in week 5, I do 3x5 at 320 kilos. The difference is that if we take a 2-week chunk, in week 3, I'm doing 320 kilos after doing 400 kilos. And in week 5, I'm doing 320 kilos after doing 420 kilos. So you're recovering from more volume by providing the same stimulus, with the hope that you're going to get stronger, more conditions, and you're going to be able to tolerate that 320 kilos. So now that is an even easier, better recovery than what it was in this case in week number 3. Week number 6 will be 2 sets of 1 at 435 kilos, followed by back extensions and hamstring curls. You notice I'm 6 weeks out, and all I'm doing is 2 sets of 1 rep at 435. Most guys in the past, aside from the guys who have succeeded, seem to have worked very, very hard in the lead up to the deadlift. I believe this is a slightly overzealous way of attacking this challenge. If you deadlift 470 kilos, for example, as a training lift, you either have to make that look really easy and you don't fight with it at all, or you need to take 3 to 4 weeks to be able to recover from that. And the challenge is 3 to 4 weeks of recovering from a heavy lift doesn't mean that in 3 to 4 weeks you're now stronger. It means that you're now slightly deconditioned and your nervous system is ready again. So you're actually going to take a slight step backwards. If you look at the results this year, from the Arnold to Strongest Man on Earth, the deadlift results went up. If you look at the results from Strongest Man on Earth to Rogue Invitational, on average, deadlift results went down. This is because at Rogue Invitational, that was our 4th max deadlift of the year, and you can only build up to that max one time. And then anyone who was in Vegas at the Deadlift World Championships, which was about a month and a half out from the Rogue Invitational, it's hard to recover, very, very hard to recover from a max effort in 6 weeks when you're somewhere close to your genetic physiological capacity. Now, after week 6, 2x1 at 435 kilos will be a 3x5 at 340 kilos. So 20 kilos added on top of the previous deload session, followed by snatch grip deadlift, pause deadlift, back extension, hamstring curls, and glute bridges. Now, I'll take a moment here and explain why snatch grip deadlift and pause deadlift for me. I struggle more with lockout than I do off of the ground. I tend to be able to pop the bar off the ground really well. And if I can do snatch grip deadlift, that's going to put more emphasis on my upper back. And if I can maintain a strong upper back, that's going to tend to strengthen the lockout because you don't have to uncurl your upper back. With pause deadlifts, getting tension off of the floor is a challenge for me. And when I am in a bad deadlift pattern, I tend to grip it and rip it a little bit more than actually hone in on my technique and know exactly what I'm doing. So pause deadlift eliminates that ability to rip it off the floor and reinforces those positions off of the ground that are strongest. Week number 8, we start into 1 set of 1. This is 15 kilos up from what I did for 2 sets in week 6. And this is a 1x1 at 450 kilos. This is followed by rows and cable pullovers. You'll notice back extensions, hamstring curls, and glute bridges are out. This is the time where we're 4 weeks out and I'm eliminating anything heavy on the posterior chain other than my goal itself. I believe over the course of 4 weeks, providing the stimulus to deadlift without providing additional stimulus on heavy days is sufficient to recover your system while also building up the musculature involved in a heavy deadlift. In week number 9, this is the last quote-unquote easier volume session. This is 1 set of 5 at 360 kilos. I could do that now in a suit. That will not be hard if I'm peaking for a deadlift. And so it truly is an easy back off at around 800 pounds for a set of 5. The accessories following that will be back extensions, hamstring curls, and glute bridges. And in week number 10, the last training week, it's 1x1 at 465 kilos, followed by rows and cable pullovers. This is when I'll know if I can pull 505 or not. If I can make 465 move really well, I will be able to. If I grind it or there's a little bit of a hitch, I'll know that I'm in pretty deep shit to be able to accomplish my goal. In week 11, there's no training at all. When it comes to deadlifting, there will be fitness work involved. There will be some volume involved because getting unfit is much easier than losing strength. Losing strength takes several weeks. Getting unfit takes several days. And in week number 12, one set of one at 505 kilos. That is my plan. Now, like I said, the date, the location, the venue, the promoter, it's all getting worked out, but it's going to be in 2025, and it will be one of the biggest deadlift events in history. I cannot wait to be a part of it. I can't wait to go toe-to-toe with Thor. At the moment, he's a better deadlifter than me, but he's a better deadlifter than me while my deadlift is still on the up. My best deadlift coming into 2024 on a standard bar raw was 910 pounds. My PB at the end of 2024 is 975 pounds. At the World Deadlift Championships this year, I could have pulled about 490 kilos, maybe 495. But I believe I'll be capable of much more. And I love to see what you guys think down in the comments. That is my plan, to pull 505, and that's how I'm going to periodize. So whilst you see me bodybuilding training right now, that is with the ultimate goal to add muscle mass, to increase capacity. Because in the end, muscle cross-sectional area is the primary predictor of strength, which is why it's so strange why I am as strong as some of these guys who are much more muscular and physically impressive than me. Now, let me know in the comments. Do you think I have a shot? Do you think I could beat Thor? Do you think I'm out to lunch thinking I could do 505 at all? Would love to know your guys' thoughts. As per usual, lift heavy, be kind. If you want a deadlift program, check that out down in the description, and we will catch you tomorrow.